Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy Bass the Kid. Feels a little bit weird doing this today because the weekend rap is going to be more of a weekend rap encompassing everything that's pretty much gone on this week that I find interesting to talk about. But I guess I can go into a little more detail for some things here. Also, it feels a bit weird that there's no real boxing on tonight. I mean, yeah, obviously there's a Golden Boy card in the States, but that card has suffered since losing the main event, which was Virgil Ortiz versus Amanda Stanionis. I was actually looking forward to that fight. It's not happening now, so obviously we've got William Zepeda versus Jaime Abuelado. Now, I don't particularly know anything about Jaime, so yeah, it's not something I'm that interested in. Not going to be staying up for it. I'll get up in the morning, watch it, see what it was like, and just, I guess, incorporate that into everything else. But there's a few things to chat about, so without further ado, let's get into it. So a few days ago, Teofimo Lopez put himself in the headlines when he was speaking to Punch Drunk Boxing along with his dad, Teofimo Lopez Sr. And in that interview, he basically said he didn't like how Top Rank have been moving towards him. They haven't been promoting him correctly. They've been focusing their efforts on people like, Keyshawn Davis, Kelvin Davis, the real big baby, Jared Anderson, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. He had issues with people like Tim Bradley and Andre Ward with the way that they've been commentating on some of his fights. And ultimately he said within there, look, if they want the black fighters, they can keep them. And he's like, I brought Bud Light to Top Rank, so I'm guessing he's talking about he brought a sponsorship to the brand, and that was a sponsorship that they never had before, so that's more eyes for them, more money in the coffers, whatever. But he's the reason for that, and he's not being treated in a in a fair way. Now look, with regards to the comment, it's not the worst I've heard, if I'm going to be totally honest. Because I grew up on a lot of American culture, just throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, and as someone that, back in the day was rather infatuated with the whole American dream and just America, it seemed like a cool place. You very quickly realized everything over there is racialized and, tribalized in some way or another. Sometimes people say things that I guess they just know is gonna get the ire of a certain demographic, and it can boost their profile. Even if it's for negative reasons, it's still a profile boost. So in that sense, I would say, alright, but that only to me would make sense if you're fighting a black fighter in this realm. And that in itself is a bit weird, because while he's not, I guess, quote unquote black himself, there are some black roots in his history. He's alluded to that. I'm not sure how far back they go, or from where exactly, but it's Honduras, and there's some other I guess African type roots within there somewhere, Afro-Latino or whatever. And I think his sister is married to a black guy as well. So there's things there which would make you say that's not really the right angle to go down, especially when, if you look at the guy's last 4 fights, he hasn't fought any black guys. So it's not like, he fought one of them, beat one up, but those guys are now getting the shine. It's like, well, hold on, like, why are you putting all your time into these black guys when I'm the one, grafting, putting in work? You seen what I done to the last one. Like, you're fighting a white guy from Scotland next. The previous guy, you fought a Spaniard, and before that, I think you fought a Mexican before that, and then before that, you fought an Australian Greek, or a Greek Australian, however I guess you want to phrase that one. So before that, you fought Lomachenko, who's a white Ukrainian. So where would any vitriol towards the black fighters come from? I mean, and it's funny because ultimately you had numerous black fighters previously saying that, well, actually it's the Latinos that get the precedence and get the attention and the shine, or or people that have a nation, like maybe the Filipinos, similar to Manny Pacquiao or Nonito Donaire, those type of people. So for a company that is historically not necessarily been able to promote black fighters the best overall, always had a lot of black fighters on the books and get them to a certain level, but I guess has never been able to promote them without them being, I don't know, a thug or something like that, or playing into some normal trope and stereotype that is something they can market off of. It's that seems like a very odd move to make, to now say that, oh well, a team that before wasn't doing the best job in promoting black fighters is maybe now putting a little more effort into promoting black fighters, and because of that you're vexed because you're not getting the level of intrigue that you think that you deserve, or the level of support or backing. But ultimately you have to look at yourself. Your performances haven't been that great as of late. Like, you got dropped twice by Sandor Martin and was lucky enough that the second one wasn't counted as a knockdown, because that's a fight you really should have lost. The fight before that, okay, fair enough, but the Kambosos fight, obviously you kind of stuck it to the network. You went on this purse bid thing, like didn't really ingratiate yourself properly to Top Rank at that point. Went on your high horse, went over to the Zone and lost all the belts off of even the Top Rank network. So at that point they had no real loyalty to you, but they still stuck by you. They gave you the Teofimo, they gave you the Lomachenko bout. I know obviously you might have probably wanted more money for it, but it was in the middle of the pandemic, so nothing you could do. Now they're giving you the only champion that they've got at 140, who realistically is the man. So if you beat him, you become the man of that division, because he was undisputed. He's undefeated. Now, yes, he should have lost his last fight, but he's still undefeated. So technically, everyone that's got a belt in 140 is a belt holder, because he never lost any of them in the ring. He gave them up. So you get that opportunity. And if you're saying, oh, well, they're not promoting my fight the way how I want or whatever, well, your fight's not next. Devin's fight is next. And to be honest, Devin's fight is more important because it's for undisputed. You're fighting for 1 belt, he's fighting for 4. Plus the Ring magazine, so 5 if you want to count that. So of course they're going to put more promotion into that, especially when they've had Lomachenko as their star guy for about 6-7 years now. Maybe longer than that, 8 years. So of course they need to see how this plays out. It's for more belts, it's for all the marbles. Plus it's now a bit more sexy, if you want to call it that, just because of what happened with Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, because they're all still within that same division. So now you put Shakur Stevenson in there, and then you've got a nice little mix for the next person to be next up to challenge Davis for the throne and for the face of the division. All of that will tell you that's why it's a bigger fight than your fight. So yeah, the talk of the whole black fighters thing, like I said, it's not the worst thing I've heard, but it was clearly a very racist statement, purely because our argument that you had, it didn't even need to be about race. You specifically brought race into it where it wasn't relevant. You could have said anything. You could have said, oh, okay, if they want to promote them new bloods over there, they can have them. You could have said anything other than that, because by making it about the black fighters, you're saying, no, the black fighters don't deserve to be supported. They don't deserve to be promoted ahead of me. That's a bigoted statement. It's a racist statement, because you're trying to say that basically they're not equal to you. They don't deserve the same level of promotion and support that you think that you should get. So yeah, I'm not going to say that he's a racist as such, because sometimes you say what you say and you don't really think about it. His dad tried to clean it up. What his dad said made very little to no sense either, but it is what it is. He said, oh, look, we apologize about it. We didn't mean it that way. I mean, look, most racists never mean it that way, right? But cool. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say that he's overtly racist, but it was a racist statement because it wasn't necessary to make it about race and to say that, well, essentially they're inferior to you, so they don't deserve the same level of promo that you're getting. But I'll let it slide. You know, it's like I said, it's not the worst I've heard. I've heard a lot worse, and I know I'm going to hear a lot worse in the future. So yeah, this one, cool. We'll see what happens when he does face Josh Taylor. And yeah, like he needs to win now, because if he loses, and he said that this was his last fight with Top Rank, I don't think he might as well retire, because I don't think anyone's actually going to take him on, knowing that he's not really doing the numbers, and yeah, mentally he's not really there. Do you really want those problems? I think he burnt his bridges with the Zone and Matchroom based off the things that him and his dad said. You could go PBC, but who have they really got for you? And ultimately you go there, you might be having to face someone like Subriel Matias, and yeah, he'll take your head clean off. That's not a fight you want. So you better win, Teo. Better win. And I guess, speaking of words and people saying things that can be misconstrued, or, you know, just outright, you know, not understood, you've got Anthony Joshua doing interviews again. Now, I haven't heard the entire interview that he did with Sky Sports based on the opening of the Under Armour store. So I can't make comment on everything he said, but I can only go by the quotes, whereby he said, look, I'm more of a thinker, probably an overthinker, you know, and I'm more of a boxer. I'm not an overly aggressive person, so I'm not like a brawler. You know, I can fight, but I'm not really a fighter. I'm more of a boxer. I've always kind of been that way. That's what I want to be. Now, so obviously this is leading a lot of people to say, oh, you see, like, if he goes and fights Deontay Wilder now, he's had it, because he's going to be thinking too much. He's not going to be pulling the trigger. He's not going to be on the front foot. He's going to be hesitant, and Wilder's going to take him out. So, okay, so is he an overthinker? Most definitely. I think we've all realized that ever since probably the Joseph Parker fight. I think that's where it came out sort of the most, where he's like, okay, I need to make sure I can get to the Wilder fight, so I'm not going to take any chances to try and clean this guy out. I'm just going to sort of box and be safety first, especially after what happened with Klitschko. So I think that's where everything sort of turned. He's like, okay, I can't be having wars like that, so now I've got to work on everything else. And then you had the Andy Ruiz, the first one. What happened here? I've got all these voices like, I can't believe this happens because I got greedy. Okay, then you've got the second one. All right, just box and move, like keep it, you know, there. I can't, if I try and go for brokenness, then, you know, he's gonna catch me again. I can't really do that, so keep it moving. Even the Kubrat Pulev fight, thinking to him, okay, he's not quite ready to go yet, even though you had him basically out on his feet in the third round. He turned his back, could have got stopped in that moment, but ref turned him around, gave him a count, and thinking he knocked him down again after that, before the bell went. But oh, he's not ready to go. He's not ready to go. Whereas instinct should tell you, well, so far he hasn't done anything that's really hurt you in this fight. Just put your foot on the gas and walk through him, because he went 9 rounds in that bout, when realistically he could have been out of there in 5. Like, Pulev easily would have been done in 5 rounds. We saw from the Klitschko fight, Klitschko KO'd him. He put him down in, I think it was the 2nd round, and then he KO'd him in the 5th. AJ needed the 9 rounds because he was thinking too much. Oh, he's not really ready. Okay, I don't want to put myself in this position. So yeah, he's not the most aggressive, he's not the most assertive in there. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I guess it depends on who you're fighting, because if you're fighting someone that is all instinct or all aggression, then maybe you can use their aggression against them. But if you're fighting someone that's got the power of conviction, you might end up coming a cropper, because they're going to launch themselves into situations that you're not ready for, because in your mind you're thinking, ain't no way anyone's going to do that, but bang, they did, and now you're in problems. So is he an overthinker? Yes, we've established that's definitely the case. Is he more of a boxer than a brawler? Well, yes, he's never actually been a brawler. A brawler is more of a Derek Chisora, maybe you could say a Dillian White back in the day, although now Dillian is definitely a lot more of a boxer puncher in his base style. A brawler is a bit more someone like a Jerome Miller. To a lesser extent, you could even say someone like Philip Hergovich is a bit of a brawler. When you see the way he fights, yeah, he launches behind the jab, but he throws shots to the back of the head. He throws punches in bunches. He'll crowd his opponent, like so. Yeah. Overall, I feel like if he says, "Oh, now I'll be more of a box puncher or a box fighter," well, to be honest, that's what you kind of was anyway. You tried to turn yourself into a pure boxer, which is never going to be you. You're not fluid enough in thought and movement to be a pure boxer. And when I say that, I mean it in the sense that he's athletic, of course, but nothing comes natural to him. When he resets, it's very easy to tell that he's resetting, because he'll move his feet a certain way, like he'll roll his body a certain way to get himself back into a certain position. Someone like Alexander Usyk, someone like Otto Wallin, someone even like Jared Anderson, who's not a pure boxer by trade, but everything, when they do it, it's all in sync. They're not thinking about it. It's like it just comes in a natural rhythm. So yeah, for me, he's always been a boxer puncher or a boxer fighter, as opposed to a pure boxer. And trying to move to a pure boxer is what's caused a lot of his current issues. Now look, every base style has flaws, every base style has advantages, but you will find in the heavyweight division specifically, there's very few pure boxers about. So a boxer puncher will always have a stylistic advantage over someone who's maybe more of a pressure fighter, because they can fight going forward and fight going back, and they can make adjustments. They will always have disadvantages against pure boxers, because pure boxers know how to keep space and sort of work to their own tempo and rhythm, and boxer punchers aren't able to, basically they're not able to lift the rhythm or make someone work outside of that rhythm, because again, they work very similar to that pure boxer, but they just take more chances on the offensive than a pure boxer would do. Whereas obviously a pressure fighter is just all offense, so they naturally will crowd and smother and just disrupt the rhythm of a pure boxer. So yeah, overall, I mean, look, I guess it's AJ being AJ. I really would like another fight in the summer. Like, if he leaves anything until the winter months, December, November, whenever it's going to be, then I don't have high hopes for him to come out victorious. Even longer with his trainer, I feel like he needs to have that experience under the lights with the trainer, so everything just sort of has to come together in the moment, as opposed to I'm working on it, but I'm not using them in real life situations. That's my particular opinion. But yeah, look, leave me yours down below. I'll probably leave this one here, because as I said, I'm going to wrap up everything tomorrow anyway. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments down below. I'll respond to everyone. Let me know your thoughts. But for right now, thank you very much for watching. That's a Hardcore Casual out.